Imagine stepping into a world where every rustle of leaves, every ripple in a stream, and even the tools you use for daily life are imbued with spirit, where the stories of superhuman heroes echo values that still resonate today, and the very colors in a national flag or a piece of cloth whisper tales of a nation's soul.
Yeah, that's quite evocative.
This isn't just a captivating fantasy, this is the vibrant and deeply spiritual reality of the Philippines, a place where ancient tradition and dynamic modernity are constantly dancing together.
It's truly a culture where the past isn't merely confined to history books, but actively lives and breathes within the present, consistently influencing and reshaping its identity.
Absolutely. Today we're embarking on a deep dive into the fascinating, intricate layers of Filipino cultural identity. We'll be exploring a rich tapestry woven from the threads of pre-colonial spiritual beliefs, the enduring power of ancient folklore and mythical creatures that still haunt and inspire, and the dynamic evolution of national symbols that speak to an ever-changing sense of self.
And we've got some great sources to draw on for this.
We do. To guide us through this complex and beautiful landscape, we've gathered some incredible sources, from in-depth academic surveys of indigenous religious practices and meticulous analyses of ancient epics, to insightful examinations of how national identity is constantly being debated, redefined, and reimagined.
Our mission in this deep dive, really, is to unpack how these diverse elements, from the most ancient animistic beliefs that root people to their land to contemporary national symbols that unite a diverse archipelago, how they reflect the core values, the tumultuous history, and the evolving sense of self for the Filipino people.
Right. We'll examine what was, what is, and, what might be.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Exploring how a culture adapts, preserves, and redefines itself through its stories and symbols.
Exactly. So let's begin our journey back to the ancient foundations of the Philippines, to a spiritual landscape profoundly connected to the natural world.
That's precisely where we must start. To genuinely grasp the essence of Filipino identity, we have to begin with Anitism, a pervasive belief system that was indigenous to the Philippines long before any colonial influence arrived.
All right, let's unpack Anitism for you. At its core, Anitism posits a world that is not just alive, but completely animated by spirits. It's a concept where not just humans, but animals, plants, and indeed all visible objects, even seemingly inert stones or the air itself, possess spirits.
Yeah, basically for Anitists, the very idea of an inanimate object simply didn't exist.
Imagine that for a moment. Every tree you saw, every river you crossed, every tool you held was believed to hold a spiritual essence that fundamentally transforms your relationship with your environment, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It fosters a deep reverence for everything around you.
So it means every element of nature, every facet of existence is imbued with a spiritual essence, deserving of respect, interaction, and maybe even appeasement.
Exactly. And a particularly intriguing aspect of this is the peculiar Ifugao belief in something they called soul stuff.
Soul stuff? That sounds interesting.
It is. This wasn't the soul itself, which was distinct, but a separate, inherent quality believed to give desirable attributes to people and objects.
Huh. Like what sort of attributes?
Well, for instance, a skilled carver might infuse soul stuff into an idol to make it more potent, maybe, or a warrior might seek soul stuff to enhance his bravery.
Wow. So it suggests a nuanced understanding that goes beyond a simple animate divide, like qualities could be spiritually transferred or enhanced.
Precisely. It implies an active relationship with the spiritual world for, well, practical benefits.
That's a truly unique distinction. So these spirits, or Anitos, they were believed to have been in existence since the very creation of the world.
From the beginning.
And it wasn't a generic spiritual presence either, was it? Each Anito had its special office, almost like a divine bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, some Anitos were specifically responsible for giving rain, others for ensuring the rice grew abundantly, or even for, increasing the quantity of a harvest.
It sounds like a highly specialized, almost administrative spiritual system.
It does. And this practical spirituality extended to how these Anitos were honored. While Anitos of grand natural elements like mountains, forests, streams, and the sea were worshipped without any visible representations, their presence felt through the raw power of nature itself.
Right, you wouldn't necessarily carve an image of the spirit of the mountain.
Exactly. But images were meticulously made by skilled carvers to worship the spirits of the dead. These idols, known as lika, came in various shapes and forms.
And these weren't just decorations, right? They were sacred conduits.
Definitely not just decoration. People would worship these figures, particularly adoring the spirits of brave dead men, believing they offered protection during tribulations or guidance in difficult times.
It paints a vivid picture of a deeply integrated spirituality, where the unseen was invoked for tangible benefits in daily life. So, stepping back for a moment, what does this all mean? How did this pervasive belief system, where every aspect of the world had a spirit, fundamentally shape the way ancient Filipinos lived their lives and viewed their place in the universe?
Well, this belief system established an incredibly profound and intimate connection between humans and their environment. It ingrained a deep sense of respect for all forms of existence, from the smallest creature to the mightiest mountain.
And this wasn't abstract reference, was it? It was practical.
Absolutely practical. It meant that every action in the natural world, whether planting crops, fishing, or building a home, had a spiritual dimension, fostering a constant awareness of the unseen and a strong sense of interconnectedness. It guided their actions, their decisions, and their very survival.
From the ubiquitous presence of Anitos, let's now move to the concept of a supreme deity in this intricate spiritual tapestry. Unpack Bathala for us.
Okay, Bathala. Often referred to as Bathala. This was understood by the ancient Tagalogs as their transcendent supreme god.
The big one, essentially.
Pretty much. He was seen as the originator and supreme ruler of the entire universe, providing a grand cosmic framework for their existing animistic beliefs.
What's particularly intriguing is how the term Bathala itself evolved over time. I read that initially it wasn't exclusively used for the supreme creator.
That's right. It also applied to lesser beings like personal tutelary spirits, certain omen birds, comets, and other celestial bodies.
But then the Spanish arrived.
And Bathala became conveniently identified with the Christian god, making it synonymous with Dios. Then, interestingly, it was largely replaced by Panginoon and Dios in the 19th century as Spanish terms became dominant.
But it made a comeback, didn't it?
It did. It found a resurgence and was popularized again later by Filipinos themselves, perhaps as they learned from historical chronicles that Bathala was indeed their indigenous god.
It's almost like a linguistic journey reflecting centuries of profound cultural shifts and rediscoveries.
That's a wonderful way to put it, a true linguistic reflection of history. And its etymological roots are equally fascinating. It's believed to derive from the Sanskrit word patara or pataraka, which means noble lord.
Ah, Sanskrit. So connections further afield.
Exactly. This connects it directly to Batara in southern Philippines and Borneo, meaning God, and Batara in Malay, meaning holy. This shared root hints at a broader regional spiritual influence, tying Filipino beliefs into a larger Southeast Asian context and a more ancient spiritual lineage.
So how did this supreme Bathala relate to the Anitos we just discussed? I remember reading Luarca, an early Spanish chronicler, noted that while the chief deity was Bathala may Kapal, or Diweta, the Spanish chroniclers also coined the term Anitaria to describe the Tagalog religion.
Right. They observed that sacrifices were frequently made to these Anitos, even despite the people's clear belief in and respect for Bathala. It looked like a dual system.
So how did that work? Why worship both?
Well, there was indeed a fascinating dynamic. The Tagalog reasoning for this was that Bathala was perceived as a great lord, one who resided in the heavens, known as Kaluwahorshan, and couldn't be spoken to directly.
Like trying to get an audience with the king.
Exactly. You wouldn't just walk up to the king. So they believed Bathala sent these Anitos as assistants or intermediaries to provide for them and carry their petitions. It was a clear hierarchical system of divine access.
Which, as you say, makes perfect sense when we consider how human social structures often mirrored their spiritual beliefs. But this begs an important question. Were these Anitos truly just intermediaries?
That's the crux of it, isn't it?
Because some chroniclers, like the anonymous author of the Boxer Codex, referred to Anitos as dioses or gods, suggesting they were petitioned directly, not merely as messengers. Consider a farmer's prayer to the Anito Lakapati for sustenance. Lakapati, pakanin mo yaring alipin mo, huwag mang gutumin, which translates to, Lakapati, feed this thy slave, let him not hunger. That sounds like direct, heartfelt supplication, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests a direct relationship of petition and expectation.
So why did the Spanish missionaries focus so much on Bathala as the supreme god?
That's a sharp observation. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a strategic approach by their early Spanish missionaries. They largely emphasized the concept of one supreme deity, analogous to the Christian God, because it neatly aligned with their goal of explaining Catholic doctrines and facilitating conversion.
Ah, makes sense. Find the parallel.
Exactly. In doing so, they often portrayed indigenous religions as false or superstitious, a common colonial tactic. Their emphasis on Bathala as a supreme creator made it easier to introduce the Christian concept of God, even if it meant overlooking or reinterpreting the nuanced direct worship of other Anitos.
So they were effectively simplifying a complex polytheistic system to fit a monotheistic framework.
Pretty much, yeah.
And those Anitos of the mountains, forests, streams, and the sea that we mentioned earlier, they were worshipped but without any visible representations, unlike the Likha images.
Correct. This implies a spiritual presence that's felt and experienced through the grandeur of nature itself, rather than materialized into a tangible form.
And what's truly compelling is how this clear and rather free interchange of what colonial chroniclers termed pagan and Christian elements continues to this day.
Absolutely. This living syncretism illustrates the remarkable adaptability and resilience of indigenous beliefs in the face of centuries of external influence.
A perfect, vibrant example of this syncretism is found among Filipino fishermen on All Souls' Day. Despite it being an official Catholic Church holiday dedicated to remembering the dead, the observances in many fishing communities are often far more rooted in pre-colonial, pagan-like traditions.
Right. Fishermen actively expect especially large catches on this day, believing that ancestral spirits are helping them by herding fish into their nets.
It's like the ancestors are lending a hand.
Exactly. And these spirits in turn are believed to expect a reciprocal good meal, either in the home or at the cemetery, in return for their aid. It's a beautiful give and take, bridging the spiritual and the practical.
This phenomenon raises an important question. What does this pervasive syncretism tell us about the adaptability and resilience of indigenous beliefs in the Philippines?
It profoundly demonstrates a cultural capacity to absorb and integrate new influences, particularly powerful ones like Catholicism, without fully discarding existing deeply rooted ones. It's not about outright replacement, but a creative and enduring process of blending, creating a unique hybrid spirituality that continues to serve the community's needs and traditions in a distinctively Filipino way.
And these beliefs weren't just abstract ideas. They were deeply embedded in daily life through intricate rituals and offerings that connected the visible with the unseen. Let's delve into the Sanyang ritual.
Sanyang. It's a fascinating term, possibly meaning compatible whole or nakakaisangkabuan, suggesting unity and harmony, or perhaps the revered one from the Balinese Sangyam.
So originally, it was a pagan ancestral worship rite, a way to honor those who came before.
Yes. But over time, it remarkably gained Christian connotations and even biblical justification, illustrating that blending we just discussed.
And it's still practiced.
What's truly compelling here is its continued relevance and modern applications. The Sanyang ritual is still practiced today, notably for mediumistic healing, where practitioners act as conduits between the spiritual and physical realms.
Wow.
It also serves as a crucial preliminary rite for the Saya sa Apoy, or the dance on fire, a powerful ritual performance. This continuity speaks volumes about how ancient practices find new expressions and purposes in contemporary life, adapting to current needs while retaining their profound spiritual core.
Beyond structured rituals, certain animals were also meticulously observed for omens, serving as living oracles.
Oh yes, definitely. This included the Tigmamanak, a beautiful white-collared kingfisher whose flight patterns can predict fortune.
Like reading the signs in nature.
Exactly. As well as the Balatiti, the uak, crow or raven, the Kuwago owl, the Baha mountain owl, the humble butiki lizard, and even the Malimakan snail. It's as if nature itself was constantly communicating, if only you knew how to listen.
And not just for omens, but some of these animals were held in incredibly sacred regard.
Absolutely. Crocodiles, the Tigamanak, and even lizards were so sacred that killing them was considered an absolute taboo.
You wouldn't dare harm them.
Definitely not. Ancient Tagalogs would venerate crocodiles, respectfully calling them nuno, meaning grandfather, and offering them a portion of their fish or livestock for safe passage across rivers.
Wow, grandfather crocodile.
There's even a famous Boyang Bato or stone crocodile in Pasig River that served as a significant idol for many years until Spanish missionaries actively worked to replace it with a cross.
So that shows the intense reverence and fear mixed with respect for these powerful natural entities.
It does.
So what does this profound reverence for animals, these detailed rituals, and the belief in specific Anitos tell us about the foundational worldview of ancient Filipinos? How did these elements coalesce to impact their daily life and their understanding of the cosmos?
Well, these elaborate rituals and beliefs provided an incredibly comprehensive framework for understanding the world, for predicting events, and for navigating the complex uncertainties of daily life. It wasn't just a spiritual practice, it was a guide to existence.
Right, integrated into everything.
It highlighted a deep, intrinsic respect for the spiritual dimension of nature, integrating the unseen into every aspect of their lives, from deciding when to plant crops to ensuring safe journeys across water. This meant a constant state of awareness where every decision had a spiritual implication.
Moving from this rich spiritual landscape to the powerful narratives that shape cultural understanding, let's explore Biag ni Lam-ang, an epic tapestry that serves as a profound cultural mirror for the Ilocano people.
Ah, Lam-ang, a truly foundational text.
This epic is incredibly significant, isn't it? It's the only existing and fully recorded epic from the northern Philippines, orally handed down for countless generations before finally being penned by Pedro Bucaneg around 1640, a remarkable feat of preservation.
It truly is. And recent research has meticulously used textual analysis to uncover the deeply embedded thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and folkways within the epic.
So it's not just reading the story, it's digging into the culture behind it.
Exactly. This analytical approach allows us to move beyond simply following the story and delve into its profound cultural implications, showing us what the Ilocano people valued, feared, and aspired to.
It's a great question. Why should we, or anyone, dedicate time to studying ancient folklore like this? What's the enduring value in these tales?
Well, analyzing folklore goes far beyond mere entertainment. It broadens our perspectives and offers profound insights into human existence itself. It connects us to universal themes of heroism, love, loss, and resilience.
Makes sense. It makes us more aware.
Yeah, more aware and sensitive to our environment and the intricate ways cultures interact with their world, offering a mirror through which we can reflect on life in a wider, more meaningful, and historically informed way. It's not just a guide to living in the past, but to understanding humanity in the present.
Let's delve into Lam-ang's heroic journey then. A narrative brimming with superhuman strength, incredible feats, and pivotal life events. Lam-ang, born to Don Juan and Namungan in Nalbuan, emerges with extraordinary capabilities from birth.
Right. As a mere baby, already possessing tremendous strength, he embarks on a perilous journey to the Igorot country to find his father, who had left before Lam-ang's birth to fight the Igorots and never returned.
And the epic doesn't shy away from his, more brutal side early on.
Not at all. The epic wastes no time establishing his extraordinary and often brutal nature. On his journey, he falls into a deep slumber and has a chilling premonition. He sees the Igorots, known as the arch-enemies of the lowlanders, feasting triumphantly around the severed head of his murdered father.
Wow, intense.
Very. Upon reaching their land, Lam-ang's vengeance is swift and absolute. He single-handedly engages virtually the entire tribe in a bloody battle, emerging triumphantly with the aid of his powerful talismans, killing and maiming thousands, leaving widespread havoc and destruction in his wake.
So right away, we see his fearlessness and this relentless pursuit of justice for his family.
Definitely. This dramatic opening immediately establishes those core traits.
That's quite an introduction to a hero. After this violent, triumphant return, he performs another set of legendary feats. He comes home and bathes in the Ambarayan River.
And his hair is so potent and dirty from battle that it causes countless fish in the river to die. Then he battles a huge, fearsome crocodile and carries it ashore victoriously.
These actions aren't just displays of strength, are they? They're almost mythic reshapings of the landscape itself, where the hero's power literally alters his environment.
Indeed. His superhuman strength and connection to nature are continually emphasized throughout the epic. Then a new quest emerges, shifting from vengeance to romance.
Right. He hears about Miss Kanoyan.
Yes. Having heard of a famously beautiful girl, Ines Kanoyan, from Kalanushan, he tells his mother he intends to visit her and ask for her hand in marriage.
But his mother's not convinced.
His mother, perhaps realistically, tries to discourage him, pointing out that Kanoyan probably wouldn't accept him because there are many other suitors, including Spaniards, who are handsomer and richer. This touches upon societal pressures and class distinctions, even then.
But Lam-ang, embodying absolute determination, is undeterred. He dons his finest clothes and sets out.
Bringing with him his magic pet rooster and his hairy white dog, both endowed with incredible powers of divination and human speech.
Right, the magic pets. That adds a truly fantastic element to his journey. They aren't just pets, but sentient magical allies.
Exactly. Along the way, he encounters Sumerang, a rival suitor, who mockingly tells him to give up his quest. Lam-ang, insulted by the challenge to his pride and determination, immediately engages him in a fierce duel.
And wins spectacularly.
Oh, yeah. Eventually hurling Sumerang over no less than 9 hills with a single throw of his spear. Just incredible strength.
Then the epic underscores his steadfastness of character, particularly in matters of love and morality. He passes by Sarah Dandan,
A woman of easy virtue, who attempts to cajole him into staying. But Lam-ang gently but firmly refuses her advances, showing his fidelity even before meeting his beloved.
So he's not just strong, he's got principles.
When he finally reaches Kanoyan's home, he finds a huge gathering of wealthy native and Spanish suitors, a formidable competition. Undismayed, he subtly edges towards the house and bids his rooster to crow.
And the rooster's crow has an effect.
A big effect. The rooster's powerful crow causes a small outhouse to dramatically topple down, creating quite a stir.
That's certainly an unconventional entrance.
It is. Kanoyan, disturbed by the sudden noise, looks out, and then his hairy white dog barks, and the fallen building miraculously reconstructs itself.
Okay, that's impressive, showing off the magic.
This impressive display of magic and power immediately gains Kanoyan's favor, a clever way to stand out from the other suitors. At her mother Unayan's insistence, Kanoyan herself adorns herself and brings Lam-ang inside a special favor she had never shown to any other suitor, signaling his unique appeal.
So the magic worked.
It seems so. The magical rooster, acting as Lam-ang's eloquent spokesperson, then formally makes known his reason for coming, articulating his proposal.
And the parents, they must have had conditions.
Of course. The parents, embodying the traditional Ilocano custom, demand a formidable dowry equal to all their vast wealth. Precious gold utensils, expansive rice fields, and various other treasures.
A hefty price.
But Lam-ang, not to be outdone, asserts that his riches are even greater, demonstrating his immense wealth and proving his worthiness. Satisfied by his prosperity and prowess, they grant his suit.
So, wedding bells.
Yes. The wedding, solemnized according to Catholic rites, illustrating that early syncretism we talked about, is celebrated with immense splendor, lavish feasting, and joyous dancing. After the grand festivities, the newlyweds embark on 2 magnificent golden ships for Nalbuan, Lam-ang's home, where the celebrations continue.
A period of peace and triumph, but his heroic trials are far from over.
Not quite. Shortly after Kanoyan's people depart, Lam-ang is informed it's his turn to go fishing for rara, a type of oyster, as part of a customary ritual for newly married men.
And he has a premonition.
He communicates a chilling premonition to his wife. He will be killed and eaten by a monster fish called a burkakan. Tragically, the premonition comes true during his fishing expedition.
Oh no, so that's the end.
Not for Lam-ang. And here is where we truly see the extraordinary mythical nature of this hero and the profound beliefs surrounding life and death in Ilocano culture. Lam-ang's loyal rooster, with incredible foresight, assures his sorrow-stricken wife that her husband can be restored to life if all his bones are painstakingly found and gathered.
All his bones, wow.
Miraculously, a skilled diver named Marcos recovers every single bone. After a series of powerful incantations performed by the rooster and the dog, with Kanoyan actively assisting in the ritual, Lam-ang is miraculously brought back to life, resurrected.
Incredible resurrect.
And they live happily ever after. This resurrection serves as a powerful symbol of overcoming death and the cyclical nature of life within the epic.
What an absolutely incredible saga. Now let's unpack Lam-ang's character based on the textual analysis of the epic. What specific thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and emotions does he embody? And what do they truly tell us about the Ilocano people and their historical context?
Well, the epic is a rich source for understanding Ilocano ethos. It highlights core thoughts and beliefs such as unwavering bravery, profound sacrifice for family and justice, true heroism in the face of daunting odds.
Which we definitely saw.
Oh yeah. A strong sense of justice, enduring love and romance, the importance of relationships, the significance of a journey, and the sanctity of friendship. These traits are deeply reflective of inherent Ilocano values.
And where do those values come from?
It's thought they stem from a history that often involved war against tribal groups. This challenging history forged values like brotherhood and unyielding solidarity within their communities.
And his behaviors reflect this.
Absolutely. His behaviors, as portrayed in the epic, are consistently fearless, brave, deeply loving, though at times impulsive and even reckless, you could say.
Like the battle with the Igorots.
Exactly. Yet he is also faithful, hopeful, and incredibly firm in his convictions.
And his emotional landscape, what stands out to you there?
The primary emotions, powerfully replicated in the epic, are an intense love of family and loved ones, fierce anger towards enemies or rivals, profound pain and predicaments, unwavering determination and love, a strong drive for vengeance, and ultimately, happiness and triumph.
It sounds like it really underscores the strong tie between and among Ilocano family members in their life struggles.
That's a key takeaway, yes. That bond defines their resilience and identity as reflected in the epic.
It's clear that this isn't just an entertaining story, but a reflection of deep-seated cultural folkways. What are some of the major Ilocano folkways explicitly embedded in the epic, and how do they connect to the real-life traditions of the Ilocano people?
The analysis reveals several key folkways. Firstly, it underscores that Ilocanos are profoundly family-oriented, often practicing extended family living, where multiple generations reside together and support one another.
We saw that with the family involvement in the marriage.
Right. The epic vividly portrays the traditional practice of giving dowry as a significant part of marriage, and it details specific courtship rituals, from the initial approach to gaining parental approval. There's also a clear emphasis on rivalry, particularly in the context of courtship or justice.
Like with Sumerang.
Exactly. But equally, a strong value is placed on and sanctification of friendship, reflecting the importance of alliances and community bonds. Furthermore, the epic highlights a strong belief in a higher being and omnipresent supernatural forces within nature.
Magic pets, the resurrection.
Alongside the interpretation of meaning from dreams, like Lam-ang's premonition, and an adherence to various superstitions that guide daily life. These aren't just narrative devices. They are genuine reflections of Ilocano culture and traditions.
So if these elements are such authentic reflections of Ilocano culture, what does their preservation mean for future generations, especially in a world grappling with modernization and cultural diffusion?
Their preservation is absolutely vital, I'd say. In the face of modernization and pervasive cultural diffusion, these folkways represent the genuine and rich culture and traditions of the Ilocanos.
They provide, like, enduring principles.
Exactly. Enduring principles, values, and morals that can be learned and appreciated by students and adults alike. By studying and understanding these traditions, future generations can maintain a strong connection to their roots, ensuring a lasting cultural legacy and a distinct sense of identity, offering wisdom that transcends time.
Beyond everyday folkways, the epic also touches on unique Ilocano customs surrounding life, death, and rebirth, offering a glimpse into their profound beliefs about the cycle of existence. For instance, the atong.
Yes, the atong, a piece of wood lit in front of the deceased's house and meticulously kept burning until burial. It serves as a solemn, public announcement of a loved one's death, a visible sign of mourning and community acknowledgement.
And the pre-burial practices are steeped in both reverence and practicality.
They are. The immediate family thoughtfully chooses the best clothes for the body, which is kept within the house, surrounded by loved ones. To mitigate the natural process of decomposition and avoid odor, a white handkerchief or a tiny towel is tied around the jaw to prevent the tongue from showing.
Oh, interesting detail.
And a glass of water mixed with local vinegar is traditionally placed under the bed. These are not merely practical steps, but rituals to honor the deceased.
And their beliefs about the journey to the afterlife are equally detailed, like the custom of placing money in the coffin.
Right. This money is intended to pay the ferryman, a spiritual guide who is believed to bring the souls safely to the other world, echoing ancient myths from various cultures about passage to the afterlife.
Like Charon on the River Styx.
Similar concept, yeah. During the days leading up to the burial, relatives maintain a solemn vigil over the body, often accompanied by wailing and the communal recounting of the deceased's good deeds and virtues.
And the dunga, the lamentation.
Yes, this includes the poignant performance of lamentation, known as dun-aw, by family members, relatives, and often professional mourners. The dung-aw is not just crying, it's a formalized, poetic expression of grief, a communal catharsis that emphasizes the deep communal aspect of mourning and remembrance in Ilocano society.
Before the final funeral procession, each relative meticulously pays their last respects by gently kissing the deceased's hand or reverently raising it to their forehead, a final gesture of love and farewell.
Mm-hmm. And there's an extraordinary level of care taken in transporting the body from the house to the church, driven by a deep-seated superstition.
What's the superstition?
Any mishap during the solemn journey could, quite chillingly, cause premature death for immediate family members or close relatives. So extreme care is taken.
Wow, that really underscores the gravity of the transition.
It does. This intricate set of practices raises an important question. What does this level of ritual and belief surrounding death tell us about their worldview and their connection to the spiritual realm?
Well, it seems these practices draw profound meanings and values from their religious faith, underscoring the deep importance of preserving such cultural traditions as integral parts of their identity and belief system.
Absolutely. They highlight a worldview where the living and the dead are deeply interconnected, and where rituals ensure a smooth passage and continued harmony.
Moving from the rich tapestry of epics, let's turn our attention to another fascinating aspect of Filipino cultural identity, the captivating evolution of its mythical creatures.
Yes, the folklore shifts. This is where deeply held beliefs, the power of popular culture, and historical shifts truly intertwine.
Let's start with probably the most famous one, the aswang.
What's particularly striking here is how the aswang has undergone a profound transformation over time. Originally in Bicol myth, and as recorded in 16th century Tagalog dictionaries, an aswang was distinctly defined as a witch or sorcerer, often referred to as a brujo or mancuculum.
So a human practicing magic, basically.
Exactly, a human who practiced malevolent magic.
But then a significant shift occurs. By 1971, dictionaries began defining it as a ghost, evil spirit. And by 2010, the definition had simplified to just ghoul.
It's as if the very essence of the creature became more monstrous and less human over time.
And this transformation was heavily influenced by Western media.
It seems so. By the emerging popularity of Western vampire media in the mid-late 20th and early 21st centuries, modern portrayals of aswangs, seen in films like Tick Tick, The Aswang Chronicles, or the Netflix series Trees, often depict them as ghoulish, vampiric creatures that inherently transform.
Right, like shape-shifting monsters.
Often with monstrous physical characteristics, starkly unlike the original human witch who merely used magic. It's a powerful example of how external cultural narratives can reshape deeply rooted local folklore.
This dramatic shift compels us to ask, how do these changes reflect broader societal shifts, the pervasive influence of external cultures, and the immense power of popular culture in shaping deeply traditional beliefs?
It shows a dynamic interaction where traditional lore actively adapts to new cultural narratives, sometimes losing its original nuances but always remaining relevant in some form. Similarly, the Mangkukulam.
Another type of witch.
Yes, originally described as a specific type of witch who could conjure fire, essentially a pyromancer, as documented by Plasencia in his 1589 Customs of the Tagalogs. Its root word, kulam, means witchcraft, emphasizing their magical abilities rather than monstrous forms.
Let's look at another incredibly popular figure, the Tiyanak. This creature also underwent a significant, almost poignant transformation.
It did. Originally, in Martinez de Zúñiga's 1803 Estadisno, the Tiyanak was described as a malevolent spirit specifically known to prevent women from successfully giving birth, often associated with stillbirth or miscarriages.
Wow, that's dark. Tied to childbirth dangers.
Very much so. The chilling counterspell involved the husband going naked, lighting a torch, and wielding a sword during childbirth, a very specific, desperate, ritualistic defense against an unseen force.
This original depiction tells us volumes about the anxieties surrounding birth and parenthood in those earlier eras where childbirth was perilous and often fatal.
Absolutely. It clearly reflects a profound fear tied to the dangers of maternal and infant mortality, with the Tiyanak personifying these very real dangers.
And it has regional variations too, right? Like the Pontianak.
Yes, you find parallels in Malaysian and Indonesian folklore with the Pontianak or Kuntilanak, often depicted as the vengeful spirit of a pregnant mother who died unable to give birth. The city of Pontianak in Borneo is even named after this very legend, showing its widespread cultural impact.
And then we have the modern, more widely known interpretation of the Tiyanak as an evil dead baby. How did that happen?
Well, this significant shift can be traced back to Spanish-era dictionaries that defined Pequianac as duende or goblin, a term often associated with mischievous smaller beings.
The duende connection.
This semantic leap eventually led to the more familiar baby depiction, evolving from a spirit affecting birth to the literal, haunting embodiment of a tragic, vengeful infant. It's a fascinating and rather heartbreaking evolution.
Indeed. It's a prime example of how interpretations of folklore adapt to cultural shifts, linguistic influences, and evolving societal fears. The infant form might tap into universal anxieties about vulnerable new life.
Quite possibly.
Beyond the more well-known Aswang and Tiyanak, Filipino folklore is teeming with a diverse array of other mystical beings, each with its own unique characteristics and cultural significance. What can you tell us about the Sigbin?
The Sigbin is quite intriguing because its nature also shifted. It was originally understood as a transformation spell conjured by a witch, implying a magical ritual.
So not a creature itself initially.
Not necessarily. However, its modern iteration is often described as a dog-like familiar to witches or families dabbling in dark magic, implying a physical entity rather than just a spell.
Like a witch's companion.
Kind of. Interestingly, there's even a plant called panigbin that is said to serve as an antidote to a Sigbainan's curse, showing how the culture developed defenses against these perceived threats. This again illustrates how traditional beliefs morph in response to popular understanding and evolving narratives.
And what about the Kapre, also known as Pugo, in the Ilocos region, these towering, often cigar-smoking giants?
What's truly fascinating here is the speculation surrounding the origin of the Kapre. Some scholars propose that Kapres might have been the natives' interpretation of seeing Adas and possibly Papuans.
Indigenous groups?
Yes, dark-skinned indigenous peoples with distinct physical features interpreting them as mythical beings. Descriptions of Kapres as dark-skinned people in older dictionaries lend significant credence to this idea.
So it suggests a cultural encounter with unfamiliar physical appearances that led to myth-making, transforming observation into legend.
It's a powerful example of how early cultural encounters can embed themselves in folklore.
And then there's Encanto, which is a Spanish word. How does that fit into the pantheon of Filipino mythical beings?
Right, Encanto is a Spanish loanword that has been widely adopted and is now used as an alternative term for diwatas and other nature spirits like the mischievous tikbalang, horse-human hybrid, and the wise Nuno dwarves.
So it became a catch-all term.
Pretty much. However, its historical meaning in earlier dictionaries was sorcery or hoklob, referring to magical practices. This again demonstrates how words and their meanings can evolve through cultural exchange and adaptation, shifting from a general term for magic to a descriptor for magical beings themselves.
And speaking of Nuno, we often hear the polite phrase, tabi-tabi po.
Ah, yes, excuse me. To avoid disturbing the Nuno sa punso, the small elderly dwellers of anthills, signifying respect for their unseen presence, even in mundane actions like walking past an anthill.
So, while creatures like Aswangs and Tiyanaks were clearly figures of fear and anxiety, it's really important to note that Filipino folklore also included benevolent spiritual figures. Can you elaborate on that crucial distinction?
This distinction is absolutely crucial for understanding the nuanced spiritual landscape of the Philippines. Not all supernatural entities or practitioners were viewed with fear or associated with malevolence.
There were good witches, too.
You could say that. Filipino society recognized and respected individuals who wielded spiritual power for healing and guidance. Examples of these healers include the Babilan, who were highly revered female shamans, spiritual leaders, and healers in pre-colonial communities.
And there were male counterparts, too.
Yes, there were also the Asog or Bayogan, who were homosexual shamans and played significant spiritual roles, challenging conventional gender norms. And then there was the Tambalan, or traditional medicine man, who used herbal remedies and spiritual rituals for healing.
So a whole spectrum of spiritual practitioners.
Exactly. And Aswangs, it was explicitly understood, were not among these benevolent figures. This highlights a complex belief system with both positive and negative supernatural forces, reflecting a holistic view of the unseen world.
What's truly fascinating here is that balance, the terrifying aspects alongside the protective. It tells a much richer story of interaction with the unseen world, where navigating spirits was a daily art.
It definitely provides a holistic view of how pre-colonial Filipinos navigated their spiritual world, distinguishing between entities to be feared, those to be respected, and those to be sought out for aid and wisdom. It speaks to a mature understanding of a multifaceted spiritual reality.
Moving from unseen spirits and mythical beings, let's now explore how Filipino identity is vividly expressed through its visible symbols, particularly the profound and vibrant language of colors.
Ah, the colors. They are so expressive.
Colors in Filipino culture are far more than mere pigments. They are a vibrant language, telling intricate stories of identity, tradition, emotion, and history.
They absolutely are. You'll immediately notice how color culture profoundly reflects Filipino identity, in incredibly vibrant textiles, like the intricate tinlock weaves of the Daboli people or an earthy, traditional pottery.
And these hues are not random, right? They symbolize profound concepts.
Exactly. Things like the lushness of nature, the promise of growth, aspects of femininity, the stability of the earth, and even the unique Filipino skin tone, often celebrated as kayumangi, or brown. It's an integral part of their visual and spiritual heritage, communicating deep cultural meanings at a glance.
And these colors resonate deeply, carrying emotional and historical weight. Red, for instance, radiates fierce love and passion, but also courage and the blood of sacrifice.
While yellow brings joy, prosperity, and hope. Together they play a significant role in preserving historical narratives and cultural memories.
There are also fascinating regional variations in color names, like lungti for green in some dialects, or kayumangi for brown, which powerfully underscore the rich cultural diversity and linguistic mosaic across the archipelago.
If we broaden our perspective, these colors aren't just isolated symbols. They weave complex stories of ancestors and migrations, blending indigenous traditions with centuries of Spanish, Malay, and Chinese influences.
So you can see history in the colors themselves.
Definitely. You can see, for example, Chinese reds or Spanish colonial blues integrated into traditional designs. They're not merely aesthetic choices. They're narratives in themselves, reflecting layers of history, cross-cultural exchange, and the enduring resilience of Filipino identity.
Perhaps no symbol speaks more profoundly and universally to the Filipino experience than the Philippine flag itself. It's truly a vibrant tapestry of history, values, and national aspirations.
A visual representation of their collective journey, absolutely. Each hue and element within the flag carries deep, specific meaning. The blue field, for instance, stands for peace, truth, and justice.
The ideals.
Yes, embodying the calm, inherent spirit of the Filipino people and their pursuit of righteous governance. The red field, placed beneath the blue, symbolizes fervent patriotism, unwavering valor, and the immense sacrifices made during the arduous fight for independence from colonial rule.
And the white triangle?
The stark white triangle at the hoist represents equality, fraternity, and purity, ideals that formed the bedrock of the revolution.
And the radiant yellow sun, what does its prominence signify?
The yellow sun, with its powerful rays, signifies freedom, democracy, and the dawning of a new era. Crucially, its 8 primary rays represent the 8 provinces that were the first to revolt against Spanish colonial rule.
A direct nod to the revolution's origins.
Exactly. The 3 stars, strategically placed at each point of the triangle, represent the 3 major island groups of the Philippines: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, symbolizing the unity of the archipelago.
And the flag itself has changed over time.
It has. If you look at the evolution of the Philippine flag poster, it offers a graphic timeline of its various changes and iterations throughout history, signifying that the nation was born from a revolution and that we are in constant evolution, a living symbol that adapted alongside the nation.
Here's a truly remarkable and poignant detail I came across. The current Philippine flag, this sacred national emblem, was actually meticulously made in Hong Kong.
That's right. It was sewn by Marcela de Agoncillo, with assistance from her daughter Lorenza and Jose Rizal's niece Delfina Herbosa, while they were all in exile.
That's a powerful bit of history woven literally into the fabric itself, a testament to the dedication of those fighting for freedom from afar.
It absolutely underscores the deep personal sacrifice, unwavering dedication, and the longing for nationhood that fueled those early revolutionaries. The flag is not just a piece of cloth, it's a tangible piece of their yearning for independence.
Beyond the national flag, traditional textiles and indigenous art forms are also incredibly rich with symbolic patterns and colors that speak volumes about protection, prosperity, and spiritual connection.
Oh, definitely. Colors in Filipino weaving traditions, for instance, are not merely decorative elements. They tell colorful stories of identity, spirituality, and community, intricate narratives passed down through generations.
What's truly profound here is the specific symbolism of these hues within textiles. Black, for example,
Often symbolizes mourning, respect for ancestors, and the deep connection to the earth in many indigenous fabrics, while vibrant red represents power, bravery, and the life force.
and the dyes themselves tell a story.
They do. Natural dyes, painstakingly extracted from plants and minerals, like those used in the ancient Banten cloths, some of the oldest surviving fabrics, create intricate patterns that reflect profound concepts of wealth, fertility, and ancestral connections. These aren't just patterns, they're codified beliefs, histories, and spiritual maps.
Indigenous art also eloquently utilizes these symbolic hues. tribal patterns found in pottery, like the iconic Maranao Ceremonic.
Ah, the legendary bird with a fish, symbolizing good fortune and protection. These aren't mere decorations. They are deeply rooted in rituals and serve as potent talismans.
Similarly, traditional tattoos, such as the Kalinga Batak, use bold, dark colors and geometric designs to represent courage, spiritual power, and status.
These body markings serve as living cultural icons of identity, marking life achievements and ancestral lineage.
So how do these artistic expressions, particularly the colors, connect directly to their rich mythology?
In Filipino mythology, colors are often central. Think of the golden rays of Apalaki, the sun god, symbolizing life, victory over darkness, and divine power. Green, known as Baird or Longti, holds deep significance, symbolizing the country's lush landscapes, agricultural growth, and a profound harmony with nature.
You see it in festivals too, right?
Yes, prominently in festivals that celebrate abundance and in Islamic traditions across the southern Philippines. Violet, or lila, often embodies femininity, spirituality, and creativity in indigenous art forms, representing introspection and wisdom.
And Kayumangi, the brown hue, holds a very profound connection, doesn't it?
Kayumangi represents stability, a deep connection to the land, and it is also the celebrated color of the Filipino skin tone, a powerful symbol of indigenous identity and pride.
And festivals bring out the bright colors.
Absolutely. In festivals, red is a particularly prominent and emotionally charged color, as seen with the devotees in maroon during the Black Nazarene procession, symbolizing profound love, courage, and spiritual strength. Yellow, of course, is universally associated with joy, prosperity, and new beginnings. And body painting in dark, rich colors for festivals like Ati-Atian blends cultural identity with ancient religious devotion, transforming the body into a living canvas of belief.
And gold, Jinto.
Gold, or Jinto, perennially reflects wealth, nobility, and deep-seated tradition. It's a recurring motif.
These symbols, from the flagged textiles, are undeniably powerful and evocative. But should they be static, unchanging representations?
That's the big question, isn't it? The idea has been introduced that national symbols are not fixed artifacts, but dynamic concepts that need periodic interrogation for their relevance to a living, evolving culture.
Because cultures change.
Exactly. They are inherently dynamic, living entities. If we connect this to the bigger picture, many official national symbols in the Philippines have actually changed over time, reflecting shifts in national priorities or understanding.
Like the national bird.
Exactly. The national bird officially shifted from the unassuming Maya to the majestic and critically endangered Philippine eagle, a more powerful symbol of conservation and national pride. The national sport changed from sepak takraw, a traditional Southeast Asian kick volleyball, to arnis, a Filipino martial art, emphasizing indigenous self-defense.
And there are ongoing debates about others.
Oh, yes. There are even ongoing discussions about updating the national dance from the tinikling to the Spanish-inspired cariñosa or the sampaguita, the national flower, which is being challenged by the more vibrant and endemic welling orchid. It shows the symbols are alive.
So how do these symbols become official? If they're constantly evolving and being debated, is there a formal process?
Yes, symbols become official through a legal and legislative process. This can happen via explicit designation in the Constitution, through specific acts like the flag and heraldic code, or by successful legislative bills that are then confirmed and signed into law by the president.
So presidents have declared symbols.
Yes. For instance, President Ramos officially designated the Philippine eagle as the national bird and anointed the South Sea pearl as the national gem. Similarly, President Arroyo made arnis the official national sport.
And there was a big bill proposed recently.
In 2014, Representative Rene Relampagos even filed a comprehensive bill seeking to bestow official status on a wide range of symbols, including the sturdy carabao as the national animal, Manila as the capital, the elegant barong and barot saya as the national costume, and the iconic it really is. The practical purpose of these symbols is clear, though. They serve as unique signifiers of territory on the world stage. They act as verifiers of authenticity for national documents and identity, and perhaps most importantly, they instill a sense of national identity and pride in young minds, particularly through education in schools.
But the contemporary call for redesign isn't just about updating a list, it's about critically interrogating the relevance of these symbols to a modern living culture. For instance, does José Rizal, the intellectual man of letters, still truly herald the contemporary Filipino temperament?
Or should men of action like Bonifacio, Aquino, or even the globally renowned Manny Pacquiao be considered as national symbols or heroes? This raises powerful questions about what kind of heroism and leadership resonates most today. It's a valid debate.
And this naturally leads us to important questions about self-perception. For instance, does the traditional nipa hut, our widely recognized national architectural symbol, inadvertently cast the Philippines in a pastoral agrarian landscape?
When, in reality, much of the population now lives in sprawling, bustling cities. It's a symbolic disconnect that could misrepresent modern Filipino life and aspirations.
Or take adobo. Is it truly the national dish when its preparation and ingredients are somewhat generic to other cultures?
Right. Could more uniquely Filipino dishes like sisig or sinigang, with their distinct flavors and regional variations, be more convincing and representative of the nation's diverse culinary identity?
And what about the woefully uncomfortable and impractical bakya as the best national slippers? Perhaps a playful suggestion might be to consult Imelda Marcos's infamous shoe collection for better proposals.
Well, these critiques, while sometimes humorous, emphasize a crucial, empowering point. Filipinos are not just passive recipients of national identity. They are co-designers, equally responsible and empowered to define and redefine their evolving identities.
So the symbols aren't set in stone.
Not at all. The current set of symbols, therefore, is not a closed, immutable set, but merely a starting point. Authentic expressions of Filipino identity, the ones that truly resonate, are found in the variant, peculiar, gleeful, inventive, disobedient, unresolved, expansive, and creative expressions that continuously emerge from everyday life, public debate, and the dynamic interplay of tradition and modernity.
It's a continuous, vibrant, and fundamentally democratic process.
Exactly.
Wow, what an incredible journey we've been on today. From the ancient animistic world where spirits inhabited every object, connecting people intimately with their environment,
to the epic adventures of Lam-ang, that reveal deep-seated values of vengeance, love, and resilience.
we've explored the fascinating and sometimes unsettling evolution of mythical creatures, seeing how they adapt to new cultural narratives.
And we've also seen how national symbols and cultural expressions, from the powerful colors of the flag to the ongoing debate over proposed national dishes, are constantly being debated, redefined, and reimagined by the Filipino people themselves.
You've now got a potent shortcut, really, to understanding the vibrant, complex, and ever-evolving tapestry of Filipino identity.
It's a culture that constantly looks to its past to inform its present, a heritage that grounds it, and yet it boldly dares to reshape its future through active engagement with its own narratives and symbols.
So what does this all mean for you as our listener? As we've explored how a culture continuously shapes and redefines itself through its foundational beliefs, its enduring stories, and its powerful symbols, consider your own cultural lineage and the narratives that define you.
Yeah, how do you contribute to the ongoing story and redefinition of cultural identity in a rapidly changing world?
It's a powerful question, and one certainly worth diving deeper into.